Good evening. Today is Wednesday, July 28th, 2021, and this is a special meeting of the Romulus Community Schools Board of Education. Public participation is available in person and through YouTube Live. Due to Senate Bill 1108, Wayne County Public Health Department Emergency Epidemic Order in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, under MCL 333-2453, declaration of continued emergency due to COVID-19 to allow public meetings of governmental bodies to be held remotely under Public Act 228 of 2020 has been extended from June 30th, 2021 to December 31st, 2021. Madam Secretary, if you will please call the roll, and for board members joining remotely, please state for the record your location, city and county, please.
Terrell. German.
Present.
Piles.
Present.
Kennard.
Here.
Location, please.
Wayne County, Romulus, Michigan.
Thank you. Bergeron.
Present.
Wester.
Wester will be absent.
Thank you. Evitz, present.
We have a quorum. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we have acceptance of the agenda. I move that the Board of Education accept the meeting agenda as presented. Is there support?
Support, Kennard.
Moved by Piles, supported by Kennard. Madam Secretary, will you call the vote?
Bergeron.
No.
Kennard.
Yes.
Terrell.
I'd like to address it before voting.
Ms. Terrell, so the acceptance of the agenda is not debatable. It could have been amended, but now there's a motion on the floor to accept the agenda, and that's strictly a yes or no vote.
I move that we accept the amendment.
Okay, so there was not an amended agenda.
It doesn't matter.
Okay,
I
Mr.
have the right to.
Yeah,
amend
Mr. Bergeron?
that agenda.
Yes.
Not when you put it in.
Okay, Mr. Bergeron, there's a motion on the floor. There is an
You wanna
opportunity to
change
say, right, so right now there's a motion on the floor. We can vote on that motion. And then if you want to present an amendment, that can be done. Madam Secretary, please continue.
Terrell.
No.
German.
Yes.
Piles.
Yes,
Evitz is yes. Wester is absent.
motion carries. Next item is public comment for agenda items only. Do we have any this evening? Okay, seeing none, we will move to the action item of approving central office professional and support staff contracts. Is there a motion?
Support.
No, is there a motion? To read a motion? Yeah, they're in the, yes, so we have to pull them up from our,
Madam President, so move the motion that the Board of Education approve the employment contracts for the 2021-22 school year for the following central office and non-bargaining staff positions. Johanna Kadra, accounts payable. Sarah Khan, accounts receivable. Stephen Baker, accountant. Latoya Weston, administrative assistant. Paula Gutzman, executive assistant. Maura Clay, administrative assistant. Sandra Slogott, administrative assistant. Rationale, routine personal action for employment contracts. Budget implications. These positions were included in the general fund budget. The board members have received exhibits. Employment contracts were drafted by legal counsel and shared with the Board of Education.
Support.
moved by Kennard, supported by Evitz. floor is open for discussion. Yes, Ms. Terrell?
Documents were sent out this afternoon, a couple hours ago, and I actually sent you an email indicating, because of the timing of those contracts being set out, I have not had an opportunity to do any due diligence, breeze through them, anything. I was at work and just so happened to look over at my phone and see that there was an email sent out just as I was going into a meeting. And so I sent out an email asking if it could possibly be removed from the agenda tonight, because we have not had an opportunity to read. I know I haven't, and maybe some of you have, but it was to something on there that those contracts, several contracts, were sent out in a mass email for us to approve here tonight. And it's not, I would say that this is not, we have not had an opportunity to look at the details of the contract being sent out at that late time.
Thank you. So did you see the email that was sent at 7:45 this morning with the contracts in it? The
I
template?
saw that there was a generic email sent out this morning, because I
Right.
look at my email 3 times a day.
Right.
But again, I don't know what's in the email that was just sent out this evening that we're voting on tonight.
Okay, so the template was sent out and has all the language. What we had needed added was the paid holidays that were left out of the contracts that we were going to approve previously. So that was in, and the contracts are just, they're all identical, the same information that the board had on the previous 2 agendas to approve. The name, the position, and the pay is all the same.
But it's not, so my point being, everyone should have an opportunity to
Right.
read. Now, you said it's 7:45. At 7:45, I was driving in the car.
Right.
I did
I was
not have
just
an
asking
opportunity.
if that.
Yeah,
made
at
sense.
7:45, I was in the car driving en route to work.
Okay,
And it's not, we're talking about approving some contracts of employees that may or may not have many changes. It may be just adding an addendum. But the point of the matter is, as a board member, should have the opportunity to review it so that I can present any questions that I have.
okay,
And that was the reason that I sent the email asking if it could be removed from the agenda,
right.
so that research could be conducted, and that I'm able to make a vote that is a sound vote based on what I'm able to review, not based on it's a template that was reviewed by legal. Because as far as I'm concerned, we've had a contract right from the very beginning that were reviewed by legal. And so now we have something else being presented. And I would like the opportunity to read,
Right.
see what's there, research, and then be able to ask questions while we're here.
So I will state that the contracts that were brought before us at our previous 2 meetings were not approved by legal. That is why their language for the paid holidays was left out, and we explained to the employees who were here that we were acting in their best interest and the district's by making sure that language got in. Those contracts had been changed since they were drafted by legal in the fall. But the same amounts and paid holidays and benefits that the board was prepared to approve is now in a legal document that includes all of those things. Mr. Bergeron?
Couple things. It seems to me, okay, I'm new to this board, but it seems to me you're trying to shove these contracts down our throat without the superintendent having one input in any of these contracts, and these are his employees. They're not our employees, okay? They're his employees. Not one input, okay? And we're hurry up and have this meeting. That's wrong. I don't care what's in the documentation. And then to give you the authority to go to another law firm and have them write it is worse. What gives the president of the board without, you said before, with board input and let us know what's going on. After the fact, we get a thing that you've gone to another law firm and had them draft all the documents. And then you want to bring another accounting firm in.
Okay,
That is wrong, flat
Mr.
wrong.
Bergeron, we are not on that item, so please
Well,
limit discussion
do whatever
to-
you want to say, but this is wrong. These contracts are
Okay.
wrong, and they should not be in public right now because they have not been approved by the administrator, the chief administrator of this community.
Okay, Mr. Bergeron, we had contracts come before us twice while the superintendent was on leave. The information is all the same. The salaries, the positions, the terms are all the same. The contracts that were brought to us had not been vetted through legal. They did not list the paid holidays, and that is crucial to state in the contract. So I reached out to not a different law firm, District Legal Counsel.
It's a
and we
different
had-
law firm that
And
did
we had the contracts reviewed and that written in because somebody had taken it out since the other law firm had written them.
And what is that language? If you can show it to me, what is that language? You know,
The language was to add the paid holidays in.
but see, I don't have that from the person that deals with these employees. I don't have the approval from that. You're not their boss.
You know what,
Okay.
Mr. Bergeron, that is out of line.
It
These
is not out of line.
Contracts were brought to us twice before today. And there was a sense of urgency that we agreed as a board
No,
that we
no,
needed
you
to.
agreed.
Mr. Bergeron, I don't know if you.
Madam
were even here.
President, point of order. Madam President, point of order.
Ms. Kennard, please state your point.
The trustee has asked the question and you're pursuing to respond to it. And I think that we should allow the person to state their inquiry and then we should respond accordingly, not back and forth. Thank you.
Point well taken. Board members, we will all remember that we are to state a point, state our information, and not engage in dialogue. Is there any other communication from board members who have not yet spoken?
Yes, Madam President.
Yes, Ms. Kennard.
I just want to add to this that this matter has come before the board. This is the third meeting. At the last meeting, we had the employees there present. We were going to vote on this, but we found that there was a section, a vital section that was missing from the contract. And the original contract, which was reviewed by the superintendent before it came before the board the first time. And even that was not in the disclaimer then. And so from my understanding and what we're doing here is adding in the vacation time that most contracts have this information. And if you look at all the beginning, the first contract, it's omitted in there. But if you look at contracts that we've approved since my tenure on the board, it always have that language in there. So how I'm looking at this is that this is a vital, important piece when you're writing contracts, particularly with the vacation, that this is what we're adding to it. Now, if the language and any language is changed in any of these contracts, we are not aware of that. But we did have the opportunity of reviewing the contracts twice. The language is to be the same with the exception of adding in the vacation. And that is my understanding. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kennard. Yes, Ms. Terrell?
Everything that has been stated thus far is accurate. But again, all I'm stating is, and it may be that you've just added that piece in there. I know that there's an urgency. I think an email went out even from Dr. Edmondson asking to be able to look at it. But also, again, today, just a couple hours ago, maybe three hours ago, we get these contracts and we're voting on it right now. And it does not allow for due diligence. It does not allow to look to see. I have not seen it. I saw that the email came in, but I have not had an opportunity for me and my ability, looking on a phone, reading, does not allow me the opportunity to properly decipher what's there. I need a printed document, and I've stated that here at this table several times. The majority of the time, generally what I do is run over to central office and get a hard copy so that over the weekend, when we, after we've received it, I have an opportunity to review the contracts. I've bumped into Ms. Evetts several times doing the exact same thing. I could not print it at work. I have not had an opportunity to look at it. And in order to be able to vote yes on anything, I want to be able to look at what was sent out, decipher it, and make sure that I don't have additional questions. You're saying one thing, and I know that your intent is to service our employees. I know that's your intent. But what I'm saying is, in order to properly inform every board member that's sitting here at this table, we should have had an opportunity to review it. And we do have a meeting scheduled later on this week. I believe it's on the 5th. Why not place it there? Since we have it now, why not place it on the 5th? Because it's not going to affect payroll. It's not going to affect these individuals being able to get their vacation. Since it was sent out today, place it on the agenda for the 5th. That's what I'm asking. Thank you.
Madam
Seven.
President?
I'm sorry, Ms. Kennard. Secretary Evans has not spoke yet, so I will give her the floor,
Okay.
and then you can speak next.
All right, thank you.
As I'm looking back through my emails, we received on the last meeting, we received the contracts at 4:37 from Ms. Gutzman. So there was no difference in the timing from last week and this week. And we were prepared to vote on them last week without the proper dates in there. But this week, there's an issue, and I don't understand the difference in the timing.
Thank you, Ms. I'm sorry. Thank you, Ms. Evans. Ms. Kennard?
I was wondering, is it any way that the secretary could read the amendment that's being added, which is the vacation time to the contract, for clarity if that's needed?
So, and thank you, Ms. Kennard. So what came up at our last meeting was the board was fine with the contracts with the rate of pay and the other conditions, but the, I'm sorry, I'm pulling this up, but the paid holidays that are normally stated were not listed. They were only listed for the executive administrative assistant and the directors, but not for the professional and support staff. So this board was unanimous in agreeing that it needed to be passed, and there was a strong push to do it at our last meeting. And the only holdup was that board members wanted these paid vacation days in the contract. I'm pulling up one now, Ms. Kennard, and I will read the language that was omitted in and I will state for the record that the superintendent did not send an email saying not to approve these. It's item E in the contracts, paid holidays. The following is a list of recognized paid holidays: New Year's Eve day, Good Friday, Memorial Day, Labor Day, the day after Thanksgiving, Christmas Day, midwinter break, New Year's Day, spring break Monday, Independence Day, Thanksgiving Day, the day before Christmas, Martin Luther King Day, and 3 additional days between December 24th and January 1st. So those, Ms. Kennard, are the paid holidays that are always awarded to central office employees. And of the contracts presented to us last week, one contract had that language and had been omitted from the other contracts. So we were in agreement that we needed to approve these, and but wanted to make sure that that language was in before we did so.
Thank you.
Ms. German, did you have?
I would just say we have had the opportunity to look at the contracts multiple times, and we did raise some concerns, and it had to do with the paid holidays. We saw how the district staff came in. They were concerned, and we had promised that we would move expeditiously to get. So we promised them that we would move expeditiously to get it done. In fact, we were thinking that we would have it done by last week. And so I'm in favor of just following through on what we promised those staff members. I don't think that, going through and saying these holidays should be included is anything wrong with that at all. I believe that it protects the employees because should Dr. Edmondson leave or someone else leaves and, they have a contract without that information in there, who's to say that they have to work? Like they would have to work if that superintendent or someone else comes in and say it's not in their contract. So I think that that's very important, and I think that we should move expeditiously, like we agreed, and talk to the staff here that that's something that we should do.
Thank you. Mr. Bergeron?
With the vacation pay. With the vacation pay.
We need mics.
Hello? Okay. If that's the case, I would be concerned somewhat about the days. If you got 14 days off as far as vacation, how are they paid out? Are they upfronted? Are they paid afterwards? What? How are they paid? The way I think this contract is written, they're paid after 6 months, they get 7 days. After the next 6 months, they get another 7 days. And that's why I'm concerned that we're trying to do this, and I don't know how many special meetings we've had to cover this, but it seems like every time I turn around, this board has special meetings. I don't understand that, but if it's at special meetings, I may not have been able to be at that special meeting. But it has, in my opinion, okay, my humble opinion, it has appearance of impropriety by doing it without the superintendent's input.
Noted. If there's no more discussion, Madam Secretary, after you get the mic, will you please call the vote?
Madam President,
Yes, Ms. Kennard.
normally with vacation days, Trustee Bergeron, they're paid within the pay period. Say, for instance, if you are off for the holiday, Christmas, whatever, whenever the non-exempt employee is paid within that time period. It doesn't overlap. Vacation days are paid accordingly to the person as they get it approved by the administrator. So there are laws that is governed by exempt and non-exempt employees in terms of how vacation and holiday pays are paid, but is paid within the duration of their pay period or that pay schedule.
And I will add to that, Mr. Bergeron, that the earning of vacation days remains unchanged. They've always been earned at a rate of 1 day per month. They're not front-loaded, so that is not new, and that is consistent with the contracts that we had written in the fall by Trone. So, Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Terrell,
Just because there's not a mic over there, let the record show Terrell voted no.
German,
Yes.
Bergeron. Mr. Bergeron has voted, Mr. Bergeron has voted no also. Ms. Piles, President
Yes.
Piles. Ms. Kennard,
Yes.
Evans, yes.
Motion carries. The central office professional and support staff contracts have been approved. Next on our agenda is, I'm sorry, I'm trying to pull this up. We have Mr. Mike Dixon with us tonight. Mike Dixon was recommended, as we know, Ms. Claire will be resigning, and her last day with the district is August 13th. And she has been a tremendous support to us and been invaluable. This is a loss to lose her. As we are going into audit and with our findings from last year and wanting to do better, since we were told that the position would not be posted, I reached out, trying to find out what our options were, what we could do, and as it turned out, Mr. Dixon was recommended to me, and when I called him, he has actually worked with Romulus before. He helped write our deficit elimination plan, and at the same time, we're working with another district, and not only did Romulus Community Schools come out of deficit, but we came out in record time and received an award for doing it. So, Mr. Dixon, I will let you, if you want to talk about what your services, what you do, your experience, we can do that. We also have a motion, but we can, whatever your preference is. If you'd like to speak, or if you'd like us to make the motion and then you can field questions.
Why don't you make the motion and we'll just open it up? Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Ms. Kennard, do you have the pack with you? Oh, you have it? Okay, go ahead.
Madam President, I move that the Board of Education approve the consulting services agreement between Romulus Community Schools and Dixon Public Consulting LLC. The rationale is per Board Policy 1001, Professional Services. The Board may select and appoint qualified individuals or firms to provide professional services to the district. On July 28, 2021, Dr. Emerson forwarded the resignation of Interim Finance Director Jewel Claire, effective August 13, 2021. To the Board of Education. In the correspondence, Dr. Emerson stated, "This is the worst possible time for this resignation due to our pending audit, and that he has no plans to fill the vacancy as of yet, as this is the most difficult central office position to fill. Contracting with Dixon Public Consulting LLC will provide the district with business office efficiency and assistance with seeking and transitioning a new finance manager. The budget implications, days of work will be on an as-needed basis and mutually agreed upon by the district and consultant at a rate of $150 an hour, plus travel and other expenses outlined in the agreement. Exhibit board members were provided with the cover letter, resume, and contract."
Thank you. Moved by German. Is there support?
Support.
Moved by German, supported by Evans. The floor is open for discussion. Mr. Bergeron.
Thank you. I have a huge problem with this one, a huge, okay? I just happened to meet with, the young lady that resigned at Leonardo's on Friday. And you know why she resigned? Because of this attitude and this fighting amongst this board.
Okay, Mr. Bergeron.
I'm telling you what she is,
Mr.
okay? And
okay,
it's
but
my,
Mr.
it's
Mi-
my,
Mr.
I can say
Bergeron.
whatever I want, okay?
No,
Yes, I
actually,
can.
actually, discussion must be relevant to
No,
the
it
motion
is
on the
relevant,
floor.
because that's why you're trying to replace somebody that because of you, she left. Because you're trying to micromanage her,
Bergeron.
and you cannot do that. You are the same as
Ms.
us.
Evans, state your point.
There should be no finger pointing, no discussion, no accusations made during any discussion.
And you know what?
Point,
If
Mr.
there
Bergeron.
wasn't, then there wouldn't be. Okay? I ran into her. I talked to her. She's
Okay.
crushed.
Mr. Bergeron.
Okay?
Mi-
And now
mi-
all of a
Mr. Ber-
sudden, without the
wait, wait.
superintendent, without the
I don't have a
superintendent,
gavel. Okay, please limit discussion and comments to the motion on the floor and speak on the issue and do not engage in dialogue.
well, first of all, without the superintendent's input, again, you're trying to micromanage this district. You know, I don't know this gentleman. He may be a great individual. But you know what? He is not a part of a team. You guys are dividing this, and I'm tired of it. I'm absolutely tired of it. I've just been on here a month, and I've had more meetings than I did for 3 months on the city council.
Ms. German?
So I was really concerned when I received the resignation of Jewel Claire. In fact, I was even more concerned at the response of Dr. Edmondson in stating that we were going to have some audits and that he was not looking to fill the position as of yet. So I'm thinking more so in regards to the district and what could happen if an audit was not passed, or, you know, we could have other issues pending considering we don't have a finance person in place. I believe that Mike Dixon is a wonderful person, of course, but he's done an outstanding job, not only with Romulus Community Schools in the past, but other school districts in the past. And I think that having him come into Romulus once again, he's familiar with what's going on in Romulus, as well as I know that he will be instrumental in helping secure another finance director, considering that this is one of those positions that are hard to fill.
Thank you, Ms. German. Just for history, I will state that our previous financial director, when she was on leave, Dr. Edmondson realized that the financial state of the district and the functions of that department were crucial. And so while she was out on leave, he brought in multiple support because we are bigger than any one person or any position. We have a responsibility and accountability to the students and staff and families in this district, but to this entire community. And we don't have a financial expert here. And when our previous director of finance went on leave, we brought in Don Sovey, we brought in Jewel Claire, we brought in Marie Miller because we wanted to be covered in the interim. And now our interim person is leaving in less than 2 weeks. And we don't have a financial expert here. We would be remiss as a board. The financial stewardship is one of our primary duties. We don't have that here. We have to seek an expert to get us through this hump now, as it is audit time, but also help us ensure that our next hire isn't just a body in the position, but somebody who we bring into this family who is grounded, who has the skill set, who is developed, and can be part of our team long-term. Ms. Evans? Okay. Are there any more comments? We could just put it over here and have a line, like a podium.
So there has been a history that the school district has been behind and almost to the point where we did not receive funds based on not having a well-oiled machine. And you're right, Dr. Edmondson did recognize that there was an issue based on the previous audit report, based on the fact that we were in the middle of conducting an audit. We were already behind. In this instance, he did send out an email, but I think as the board president, it is crucial that that board president and superintendent communicate, whereas there are not a whole lot of details as to why he said, I'm not intending to fill the position yet. You're right, I'm looking at the email that was sent out, and it was referencing the audit. Appointing someone in that position. He is back in the office as of today, and I need this, but I didn't ask you to come up yet. But anyway, so I think that again, it is crucial that we have key positions filled, but I also believe that it's crucial to have the input of our superintendent so that our decisions will allow central office to move smoothly. He's only back today and haven't had an opportunity, we don't know because it hasn't been shared with us, but I'm quite sure with Dr. Edmondson wanting the best for the district, wanting the best for the staff that work over at central office, that we should allot him that opportunity to have communication with President Piles to identify what are some of the reasons that he feels that it shouldn't be done this week, and then move forward after that conversation is had. This is really superficial and has been done without his input. This is someone that he will be working with. He will be working with on a daily basis. And as far as a fiduciary responsibility, we do have a fiduciary responsibility. But we also have a responsibility to allow the superintendent to do what we hired him to do. So that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you. Ms. Kennard, I'm unable to see if you have a hand up. I don't know if you wanted to comment. If not, Ms. German or Ms. Evans.
This gentleman, from what I gather, with the resume, the offer letter, he will be working closely with Dr. Edmondson. It's not a one-man show. He will be working closely with everybody in the district as financially responsible. So I've read both the contract and his resume, and I feel that this would be a good mix.
As we go into our audit season, we definitely need strength overseeing our finances and preparing us. But as we go into it, there's also, while we search for a new director, we are fortunate to have someone who has worked with the district before, helped us out of deficit, a proven track record. I don't know Mr. Dixon personally. I didn't know until we spoke that he'd worked with Romulus. But as I've researched him, I realize we're very fortunate. This is not somebody coming in overstepping Dr. Edmondson or in place of him. This is somebody who's coming in offering financial guidance as we're in our most tumultuous time as a district. And coming off of years of audit findings, we want to do something different and better this year. So this is not a power struggle or a competition. This is bringing in much needed support to work with Dr. Edmondson. We don't have financial experts here in the district. And you know, and it wasn't that, it wasn't just this week. When his email to us said, it's the worst time because of an audit, and I have no plans to fill the vacancy as of yet, and we know that there's already financial concerns that have come up. We don't want to be playing catch up. We want to be prudent. We want to be proactive. We want to have a great audit. So that is why, and he comes in, he will be working with us. We are contracting with him. He's not coming in to overstep the superintendent. This is support. If anybody has questions directly for Mr. Dixon, either now or before. I mean, if anybody has questions for Mr. Dixon. Mr. Bergeron.
I have no problem with Mr. Dixon. I have a problem with the process that we're going through, the micromanaging of this school district when we have a superintendent that we pay good money to run this district, okay? And it's his responsibility to come up with the audit. If he doesn't come up with the audit, then we get on him, and if we have to, we replace him. It's not our responsibility.
If there's no more discussion, Madam Secretary, will you please call the vote?
Kennard,
Yes.
German. Terrell. Bergeron. Evans, yes. Piles.
Yes. Motion carries. Romulus Community Schools will enter into a consulting services agreement with Mr. Mike Dixon. He is experienced and has a proven track record of turning around districts, and we are not in financial crisis. I want to state that. We are not, and we want to stay that way. I was not a member of this Board of Education during the deficit time, but I have served with multiple board members who were. And hearing what they went through and hearing how central office staff just left, and we had one staff and one board member trying to do the work of central office and having to have cuts, and just how that was so tumultuous for our district and our community. I wasn't part of it, but I've heard from those who were, and it feels too good to be where we are now to even risk going back, simply because we want to wait until after an audit, or this is a proactive measure. And this is, and I know that Dr. Edmondson just got back, but what we had to go on was the information we were given. And we are less than 2 weeks away from losing Miss Claire, and so we need to be thinking ahead. So, thank you very much. Yes, if somebody could hand Mr. Dixon a mic, please.
I have a question, Madam President, before. So in the contract, it says at any given point in time that the contract obligations are not being met, that this contract can be dissolved. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So the professional and experience that our superintendent has, and I just can't, he is the type of individual, I believe, who recognize the financial strength of the district, and the person who sits in that position in terms of what he's thinking and where he wants the district to go, and that person in that position. I just think that our superintendent is the experienced superintendent who recognizes that, and just as he recognized the need for a person in that position, and we have been looking, I know the position's been posted. We've had interview after interview. where we were not successful in identifying a candidate. The reason why I voted yes was because I, as a finance and a budgeting administrator, knows that the vulnerability of that position being vacant during the process of interviewing, no one's taking away any of the responsibilities that our superintendent has, but this is an opportunity for the superintendent to seek the avenues so where he see fit at any given point in time where he decides or see that it's not working for the district. I know that he will state as such, and he will come to the board and inform of us that, and we as a board will be listening. I am not thinking and looking at this as being something where the board is micromanaging, because sometimes in a position, leadership has to assist. In the 3 years that I've been here on the board, we've had issues, we've had turnover in this position, and that has to stop with this district. We need someone who is strong, who can work with our superintendent and the superintendent working with that organization so that we can stop the turnover in that position. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kennard. Mr. Dixon, you have the floor.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a couple of comments because I can appreciate everybody's concern about, the superintendent being on board, everybody else being on board, and some of the issues.
I'm sorry, Mr. Dixon, we're streaming on YouTube, so if you would just hold
Oh,
your
keep
mic
it in
up,
front of me.
otherwise our public can't hear, so thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. So a couple of things. One of the things I intended to do, because my time is really limited for the next 6 weeks or so, is bring somebody else in with me that's veteran in Wayne County RESA and tag team that. So the two of us, Sandy Guchenberg, Schwager is the other person that would be assisting in the interim responsibilities there. She could do a lot of the day-to-day. I definitely want to head up the search and try to get you some type of candidate in there that's viable. And if it happens to be an individual that is not so experienced or a neophyte, if you might want to say, then set up some type of strategy to mentor that person to get their feet on the ground, and both Sandy and I can do that. Couple general comments. Once time's not on your side, or our side, the district side, that I suspect that your audit's scheduled sometime for the middle of October, or excuse me, the middle of September, so it'll be done by, first week in October or so on. Now, you probably push that back a week, and I'm just suspecting that that's when it's scheduled. All right? You're going to need a good solid 6 weeks to pull that together with people that know and understand the district. Now, I have worked with the district, but I don't know what you did last year, okay? And neither does Sandy, which if we can't get with Jewel pretty quick to get some feel for where we are and where we aren't, puts us at a disadvantage.
Your mic.
Oh, sorry, puts us at a disadvantage. Okay, so we're kind of at a little bit of a disadvantage. And the other thing that I think, and I didn't read these, okay, because I had I had to get on the road today to get down here for this meeting, but my wife read me the audit findings while I was driving down and back to last year's audit. Those are pretty significant. I mean, seriously significant, okay? And there are material weaknesses in 8 different categories. I don't have them in front of me now, but you need to, from a fiduciary point of view, I don't know what happened. And if it happened again this year, because that year is already closed, not this year that you're in now, but the one that was through June 30th, you may have some of the same comments coming back at you, okay? So just as a refresher, just go back on it. I think it probably starts around page 80 or something. It would be the last few pages of the audit. Read those material weaknesses. Those are pretty significant. And I don't know whether they existed all year. Jewel started sometime in March, and was that?
She's been with us. She came in as support. Our previous finance director had brought her in for some support like last fall. And
Okay.
then she's been really at the reins since about December or January.
Okay, good. Okay. Then hopefully, I mean, I'm assuming that there was a strategy put together to deal with those material weaknesses, and that they've been identified and dealt with accordingly, which would be good. You know, that's always good. And I need to I'm going to be in town tomorrow for a little while, and then Wednesday, and if at all possible, I'd like to start Wednesday. I need to talk with Jewel. Sandy can't get here until next Tuesday or Wednesday, which is fine. She has other commitments too. I can't come back again until next Thursday or Friday. But between the two of us, we need to meet with Jewel before she gets out of here so we can get a feel for, like, a term, who's on first,
Right.
type of situation. So I would be happy to report on Wednesday morning sometime earlier. And I'll check in with the superintendent's office. I don't know what his schedule is, but it's somebody in the business. Oh, you lose me?
Yeah, Mr. Dixon,
Yeah.
if you want to just stand up here and talk,
Oh, that's
that
fine.
way our public who's watching on YouTube would be able to see you if you come up here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's fine. So anyways, on Wednesday morning, I'd just like to try to get started to the extent I can, and I would really like to meet with the superintendent and see what type of issues that he may have going forward, or, you know, especially with the business office. And then I definitely need to meet with Jewel to whatever extent of time that she might have and try to get a status on it. And then next Tuesday, Sandy would come in for Tuesday and Wednesday, I think she said she could come in. I would come in Thursday and Friday. We'll try to tag team it from there on to try to get a handle on what's going on, if that's acceptable with everybody. Okay, so what time is
And Sandy, will you just tell the board her background and credentials?
Oh, yeah, Sandy's been I don't know how many years, but for a number of years, she was a chief financial officer in a Wayne County School District, so she's familiar with the software system, very familiar with the software system that Wayne Risa uses. So she would be a definite addition to what we're doing, okay? I'm trying to think of the name of the district. It's downriver. It's either Melvindale or...
That's okay, we don't mention other
Okay.
districts, so downriver's fine, Wayne County
Okay, she's
District.
downriver. And she is just recently retired.
Okay.
All right, so she would be a good addition there. And then after we get in and we can do some assessments there, we'll take a look at whether or not you need to, excuse the term, pump up some accounting for a couple of weeks to get ready for the audit, and what other options we have available with that.
Right.
But one of the keys, I think definitely the key, is getting the position posted for the business official that you're looking for. Because they're not easy. I've done probably about 4 of those in the last 4 years or so, less time than that. There's you just need to take your time here, go through the process. If you find somebody that's got some reasonably good skills, then you just set up a process to mentor them and try to move them forward. And Sandy and I can both do that. We can meet with them on and on, 4 hours a week for
Great.
whatever period of time.
Ms. Kennard has a question for you. Go ahead,
Sure.
Ms. Kennard.
Yes, I just want to make sure and ask for clarification. The cost for Sandy is not an additional cost, is embedded in the cost to the agreement of the contract?
No, she would be less expensive than me on an hourly basis. I'm at 115, she's at 110, I believe. So instead of me working full-time, the 2 days a week that I would be working if I was full-time, she would be working, and it would be less expensive.
Okay, so you're tagging, okay.
Okay. Should be, unless you just gotta work 15 hours a day or something, but that may be the case for a while, but,
No.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
now,
Go ahead.
do you have any comments you wanna make?
Does anybody have any comments?
I do, I do want to make one comment, and I'm grateful that.
What'd I do?
Microphone so the public can hear your comments.
I'm grateful that you do have a background, but again, I think that there's a much bigger dynamic going on than we've been able to share at this table right now. But I would say that Dr. Edmondson was the one that sounded the alarm and said that we needed some help. Brought in Dr. Sovey, who identified Ms. Claire to work on our issues. So addressing those issues, it is something that is of an urgent matter. But again, I think it's being that the superintendent is back, that the collaboration and being able to speak to him to know exactly what our status is and why we're there. But there are some other dynamics, and I think that Mr. Bergeron did tap into it. And so being responsible and understanding that we do have some upcoming deadlines that we need to be considerate of. I'm appreciative that we've identified someone to do that. I just wish that it was done in a more receptive manner so that everyone across the board is working together.
And Mr. Dixon, when you start, I'm sure that you will find that everyone will be working together. This came to us with the weekend, so we're just in the beginning phase of this, and we had this meeting already scheduled. So with this coming to us over the weekend, the resignations, and then knowing that it is audit season, we are fortunate that we have somebody who is experienced and capable to guide us and help us through that, not just our audit, but finding a strong director. And I'm confident that you'll love our central office staff and superintendent. Yeah. Everybody works very well together as a team. This is fast. I mean, just like when we were made aware of the resignation, all of this is just happening. But at the same time, I think that as a team, we are staying together and making sure that our finances and our department is covered. So, okay. Thank you and welcome to Romulus Community Schools.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. I look forward to working with you.
I would say welcome back.
Welcome back. Yes. So next on the agenda, we have an action item for our board retreat with Dr. Coleman. At this point, if it please the board, I will not make the motion for that, or I move that the Board of Education get with the superintendent and that we set a date for our board workshop within the next month, and that we continue with Dr. Coleman, as Dr. Edmondson had sent to us in a board brief, bringing Dr. Coleman in for a board retreat, and just being able to take advantage of that collaboration, that the goodwill and friendship, and then being, neighboring districts, not competitors, but in the same field. So, I'm sorry, the motion is I move that the Board of Education set a date for our board workshop within the next 30 days with Dr. Coleman facilitating our retreat. Is there a second?
Kennard, second.
By Piles, supported by Kennard. Is there any discussion? Yes.
So what we're saying in regards to setting the date, we're setting a date for a workshop or a board retreat.
Um, it will likely be a series. It'll be more of a retreat style.
Okay.
We will still have our workshop Thursday, but we can focus on our governance standards. We can talk more about the ideas that we brought out at our last meeting for ideas for goals, for priorities. Um, and if Dr. Edmondson is available to attend that, see what his vision is too, so that we are working on seeing a bigger picture and working on adhering to our governance standards so that we become more impactful and have a higher level of accountability for ourselves so that we're able to more effectively um, serve as board members in our governance roles. Is your hand up, Ms. Kennard?
Yes, it is.
You have the
So
floor.
are you saying that the workshop that was scheduled for this Thursday is not happening? I thought that was what that was supposed to be on.
Right, so the workshop will still be happening. We just will not have Dr. Coleman facilitating on Thursday. So we are still having our workshop as a board, but this motion is that we set a date that works for the board and our superintendent, um, and then bring in Dr. Coleman for that.
So since you're asking for the input of the superintendent, and you're saying within 30 days, do we need to set a date? Because we don't really know his schedule. Today is his first day back to work. And then also you would probably need to know the availability of the speaker,
Right,
or the
so
facilitator.
right, and that's why I'm saying that we would mutually agree on a date within the next month, that this not be something that, we put off. I mean, we're gonna have a lot of things coming at us, especially with the beginning of the school year, and then everything that brings. So, because this board has indicated, sense of urgency to have a training, on roles and relationships and unity and rebuilding trust. Um, I, the reason why I said that we select a date within the next 30 days is so that, and we select a date, so that it's on the books, so that we don't get distracted in the busyness and forego this workshop and retreat and training, um, because this is fundamental to the work that we do. Working together as a team of 7 and a team of 8, so that anything we do will have maximum impact. And so that's why I said that, Ms. Kennard, so that we don't go too far into the year without scheduling this.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that because we don't know neither one of their schedules. If we set a date and they're not available, then we got to come back and try to figure out another date.
Right.
I think the motion should be is that we look at it and say that we're going to do it within the next 30 days without a set date, or we have several dates to select from.
That is
But
the
then
motion,
again,
Ms. Kennard, that within the next 30 days, we would set a date.
okay, all right.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Dr. Coleman has indicated that he will work with our availability. I know Dr. Edmondson has requested to not have Thursday nights. Is there any other discussion? So yes, the motion is simply that in the next 30 days, within the next 30 days, we set a date and get it booked for our board workshop retreat. Mr.
Okay,
Bergeron.
thanks for the clarification.
Thank you, Ms. Kennard.
So is the Thursday night meeting still on? Or
Yes, it's still on.
It's on, and that's gonna be about,
Just about board roles, board unity, our governance standards. We started to discuss at our last meeting, at our workshop, I'm sorry, ideas for, board members shared, priorities, goals, what we saw as needs in the district. no decisions were made, and this will be a workshop Thursday. There will be no action taken. Ms. German?
So, Madam President, I kind of feel like I know that we spoke earlier that it was important for us to meet quickly to come together as a board with the superintendent and making sure that we were all on the same page for the vision of the new school year. And so my concern is that now we're getting into the school year. And the priority, I know that there's a priority, but I feel like it's starting to dwindle down to now we're into the school year and those visions and, goals haven't been set yet.
Right. Exactly, noted. It's something that, we need to be mindful of. We need our goals and our vision going into the school year, but at the same time, we also need unity and team building and trust, or anything we plan is compromised. So it's like we need to be mindful of all of that. And so yeah, I mean, if we set this in the next 30 days, that we have a date, and in that time just working together and moving together. So there's a motion on the floor. Madam Secretary, will you call the roll, please?
Terrell? I'm sorry? Terrell answered no. German? Yes. Piles?
Yes.
Kennard?
Yes.
Bergeron? No. Bergeron voted no. Evans, yes.
Motion carries. So the Board of Education will be setting a date with Superintendent Dr. Edmondson to get a date on the books for a board workshop retreat facilitated by Dr. Coleman. And I do want to state on the record that this was something that a board retreat with Dr. Coleman was something that Dr. Edmondson had brought to us in a board brief. So this is aligned with something that he had planned for us. So real quickly tonight, this is Romulus Elementary t-shirt. Rommel is located at 32200 Beverly Road. Of our 4 elementaries, it is our newest structure. It is beautiful. And on the inside, we have phenomenal students and staff doing incredible things there every day. I will say that Rommel, this is significant. The building principal is Gretchen Nataro, and under her leadership, Rommel students have made the most progress in proficiency and growth in our district. So good job to Mrs. Nataro and the staff. The other thing that is a notable point of pride is the sense of community and togetherness at Rommel. We had, I don't want to get the year wrong, 2020. They had a vision to bring all of their students and staff and even some community members together to honor Dr. Martin Luther King. And if you have a chance to stop at Rommel, please do, because right there at the entrance is a beautiful mural that every single student enrolled in Romulus Elementary, every staff member, superintendent, central office staff, and community leaders went and each painted a portion of the beautiful mural of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and put their thumbprint in it. And it is the most incredible piece of art, but it's not just art and beautiful. It is that every person in Romulus Elementary is part of that. And so, yeah, Romulus Community Schools is a great place to be. It's a great family to belong to, and Romulus Elementary is definitely one of our special learning communities. And if you have a child enrolling in kindergarten, go to Romulus Elementary or any of our elementary schools and enroll, and you will get this great shirt, class of 2034. I know, right? And on that note, a motion to adjourn? Support. Moved by Pyle, supported by Evans. You'll have to call because we're not all present.
Bergeron?
Yes.
Terrell? German. Piles.
Yes.
Evans, yes. Kennard.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Let the record state that Ms. Terrell voted yes. Yeah. Meeting is adjourned at 7:19 PM.